A problem that a lot of sales reps struggle with, especially at scaling companies where processes might not be in place and the market isn't aware of your product, is what to say. Now, the script is at the heart of your outbound strategy. And by script, I don't mean a piece of paper that you read off, I mean indicators of what to say and when to say it. My name's Ben, Marketing Development Representative at Cognism, and today we're going to discuss the ultimate cold calling script that every new sales rep at Cognism uses when they're being ramped up. The script is broken down into 5 segments: opening, pitch, questions, conversation, and closing. Now, this is used as a general guide, but not as an absolute rule. At Cognism, we encourage all of our SDRs to be individual in the way they sell. Now, this is due to how we all convey our messages. This can be done through different tones of voice, different vocabulary that we use on a day-to-day. Now, the structure is there to help with our reps, with the flow of the conversation, not to pin them down to every word and just read off a piece of paper. So let's start with the opening. It's the very start of your cold call. Often it's when you're calling a senior level prospect, the gatekeeper will answer, typically a PA or a secretary that will pick up the phone. Hi, it's Ben from Cognism. Is Sarah available?
What is it regarding?
Now, this is your chance to get creative. If it's a first time call, here are some replies that we typically use. New business, your client acquisition process, how you find new clients. Now, the reason that we use little snippets and quotes like this is because it relates directly to what we provide. So we help our clients find new clients, we help them with their business development. So really the key to this is finding little snippets that relate to your product or service. Now, if it's a follow-up message, you could try different things such as these. I'm just following up on an email I sent to Sarah. I'm just chasing up on some emails, they'll know what it's regarding. When speaking to the gatekeeper, don't be afraid and treat them with respect. You want to make it sound like you're meant to be speaking to the person on the other end of the phone. So you want to say, hi, I'm looking to speak to Sarah, I'm following up on some email correspondence. Say it with confidence. That way the gatekeeper's not going to question what you're saying and they're more likely to put you through. So let's assume that your call is transferred and the prospect picks up. Hi, it's Ben from Cognism, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Great, look Sarah, I'll keep it brief so I appreciate you're busy. I came across your company online and I can see you do B2B sales. Have you got 30 seconds for me to explain the nature of my call? It's vital to establish rapport early on in your cold call. Acknowledging that the prospect's time is limited and asking for their permission to continue is a great way to start. So they've given you permission and now it's time to pitch. What I'd like to say at this point is, again, the pitch isn't something that's set in stone. It can change depending on the SDR and who you're talking to, but there's 3 key things that you should remember. First, it must be clear. The prospect must be able to understand it. Make sure you adapt the pitch for each prospect. It must be relevant to them and their industry. Next, your pitch must be concise. Think of it as a springboard to further conversation. You don't need to reveal absolutely everything about your business, and one good tip and one good way to think about this is like a tweet. What you can convey in 280 characters or less is how long it should be. And lastly, it must be easy to remember. You don't want to get tongue-tied or lose your flow on the cold call. Keep 2 to 3 facts and stats up your sleeve and use them every time. An example would be, we help companies like yours prospect and gain new clients by giving you access to our lead generation tool. It contains over 400 million B2B profiles. Or, we provide companies like yours with direct and accurate contact details for key decision makers in your target industries and locations, ultimately saving you an abundance of prospecting time. When you've delivered your pitch, it's time to progress to the next crucial stage, the questions. Asking open-ended questions is one of the most essential things that any cold caller can do. In any call, the prospect must do 70% of the talking, while the salesperson should only do 30%. The more the prospect talks and feels like they're being listened to, the more likely they are to buy. In a recent study by HubSpot, 69% of buyers said that one thing that they wanted from sales reps was to listen to my needs. Open-ended questions are a great method of showing the prospect you're a good listener. They open up the conversation, allowing you to gain vital insights that will help you in the last stages of the call. Here are some examples we give to our SDRs. How do you currently go about finding new clients? What does your outbound process look like at the moment? How are you currently generating new leads? What are your frustrations with prospecting data at the moment? There are a number of tactics you can use to keep your prospects engaged and keep the conversation flowing. Here are some good methods for getting the most out of your conversation. Number 1, tonality. The way you speak is extremely important. You must sound excited and enthusiastic to be speaking to the prospect, especially if the prospect is being blunt and unresponsive. Now, if you're talking to senior level employees, they're used to receiving these types of calls. You have to make yourself stand out and makes it feel memorable. Having good tonality and sounding like you're approachable is a great place to start. Number 2, pauses. Now pauses enable us to emphasize key points. For example, our lead generation tool gives you the access to 400 million B2B profiles globally. Using a simple pause will ensure that important points are quickly highlighted and more likely to stick in the prospect's mind. Number 3, mirroring. All you have to do is keep your ear out and listen to how the prospect speaks and the words they use. Then imitate the way they talk. It's really as easy as that. So what's the purpose behind this? It's proven to be an effective way of building rapport and increasing the odds of being accepted by the person you're talking to. It relaxes the prospect and makes them feel more comfortable talking to you. Number 4, repetition. Don't be afraid to repeat what the prospect says to you. You'll be surprised how much someone will reveal when they're questioned in a manner which relays the information they've provided you. An example of this.
All my sales team manually find their leads.
Okay, since your team is using a manual process, how we could really add value is by reducing that and providing you a tool which cuts your prospecting time. Repeating their words back to them shows you've been listening and encourages them to reveal more about their business. Things such as what the process looks like, how long it takes, the amount of resources they put into it, and so on. These are the further pain points which you can then address one by one, steering them even closer to the final stage in your cold call, the closing. Following a conversation, you might be ready to go in for the close. If you feel like you can close early, if you've addressed all the key pain points and the prospect has really shown some interest in seeing the product in more depth, then just go for it. Look, Sarah, I appreciate this is a lot to take in over the phone. It'd be great to show you the tool and run through some live searches. Have you got 15 minutes free later this week? At this point, you're likely to counter some objections. If you try to close too early, they're going to push back. The prospect will come back with some obstacles that you then have to overcome. One of the most common ones that will crop up at this stage is,
Please could you send me more information first?
when you get this question, generally this means you've closed too early. You haven't generated enough interest for the prospect for them to actually commit to seeing the platform or the tool that you provide. Some good responses to this are, I can send you some more information, but by the time you've read through it, I can answer the questions you have. What would you like to know? It would be quicker and more useful to show you the platform. How does Monday at 11 AM sound? At this point, an element of judgment is needed. However, if you feel the prospect is on the move and very busy at the time, and perhaps pushing for a demo will irritate them, you need to judge whether sending a further email would actually be easier. In which case, a good option is to find out exactly what information they want and send them an email which correlates to that. A good example, what would you like me to include in the email? This will get the prospect to reveal their concerns, which you can then address on the phone, eventually leading them back to the close. Try out the above strategies for handling objections and persuading a hesitant prospect to agree to a demo. Before you do so though, you must first gauge the receptiveness of the prospect. Some people do not respond well to being pushed for a meeting. When you get to the close, always make sure you qualify the prospect further before you let them go, such as this. Great. In order to tailor the demonstration as best as possible and make the best use of your time, please could just ask 1 or 2 questions so we can tailor the demonstration for you. This will help the BDM or account executive to personalize the product demonstration to the exact prospect needs, increasing the chances of a sale. Then when that's over, it's time to end the call. That's great. Thanks a lot for your time today, Sarah. I really appreciate it. Do you need anything else from me, or would you like me to include anyone else on the call? You can also repeat the agreed time of the demo back to the prospect. It's another way of making sure the demonstration stays in their mind and means hopefully that they'll show up. That's great. Thanks a lot for your time today, Sarah. I look forward to seeing you on Monday at 11 AM. And that's it. You're done. With this ultimate cold calling B2B sales script, you should know exactly what to say to your prospect. Thanks for watching.